this is not going to be a reoccurring thing, okay? So don't get used to it. Hi guys. Thank you, first of all, hello. Thank you so much for the love on my first video. I was not expecting almost 100 subscribers. I think I'm like 81, I think the last time I checked, which is crazy. And there's so much love and support. I love it so much. Thank you so much. But I'm gonna go over my weight loss journey, like the entirety, childhood to now, my entire weight problem, basically. So when I was born, I was allergic to everything. My mom's breast milk, powdered formulas, everything. I was allergic to everything. I was on a special type of formula. If I can get the name, I will put it on the screen of what formula I only drank for God knows how long. So I didn't start off well with the food category. And then I was allergic to like foods, like actual, like everything, hives, colicky, everything. With having that problem as a literally infant, my palate wasn't very established. I was picky because I don't think it was fear. I mean, it probably was, but I just never had a very wide palate, wide variety ever since I was little. I don't drink soda, never have, never will. I think I've had a couple sips in my entire life. If you think of a picky eater, that's me. I don't like pickles, don't like salt and vinegar chips. I don't like fish. I don't really like pork that much. I will have pork, just not my favorite. But there are a lot of things I just don't prefer to have. I'm quite picky, so everything that was junk food tasted good, which is why it also didn't help with the weight. So as a kid, which I've explained my mental health side on my first video, but I was given Lexapro at 5 and I was on it till I was 18, which caused the rapid weight gain. I was about 200, I was in the 200s in middle school, and I was always just a big kid, always. I was always the chunky kid, always. Tall, I was the tallest. I was like 5'4" to 5'6" for like the majority of I peaked very early, but now I'm 5'8", but I was very tall in like 5th grade plus. I was just always just the tallest one and the biggest one. You may or may not know, if you come from TikTok, you might remember, or you don't remember, it doesn't matter. I grew up with a sick parent, and my dad was sick my entire life. He still is. He was sick his entire life. He was born with his own issues, but I grew up with a sick parent. So there was no schedule. There was no routine. There was no discipline, because you never know when tragedy will hit. My dad would need to go to the emergency room or the hospital into the city, and I live on Long Island, so it's, you know, a drive. I was about 8 to 10 age-wise when my dad was like really sick. He was in the hospital for a few months. I never really knew what those days looked like, and because there were so many people taking care of us, that there was no sense of schedule, routine, nothing. So I never really learned, like, when you could get home from school, you do XYZ, you do your homework, blah 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 blah. I never had that structure. Once I was able to drive and I had money, all that stuff, I definitely would have fun. I would definitely go to the grocery store and, like, you know, go shopping and do all that stuff and get snacks and whatever. I'm editing and I'm coming in. I realized that, like, I forgot like a big part of, like, of course I snuck food as a kid. Don't get me wrong. I would always sneak food. I would always run, like, when everyone was at sleep, and one would run down to the kitchen, grab a couple things, like, for sure. That was 100% part of my childhood. But then I didn't even say this, which is so important. I didn't emotional eat where, like, if I was stressed, I would, like, eat, like, in the moment. But, like, I would eat shitty, or, like, go to the grocery store and, like, get a bunch of stuff to take the edge off. So, like, when adults would have, like a beer at the end of the day or a glass of wine at the end of the night, I would have ice cream, I would have snacks, I would have food. Food was a comfort. Food was something that was mine in a way. Like, if no matter what was happening with school, with my dad, or with work, or my like depression, ADHD mode, which I explained in my first video, food was always there. And I was always able to just like, I look forward to it. I look forward to going to the grocery store and getting snacks and coming home and like getting in my bed and watching a show and like just having a good time. Now, I did not eat the entirety of that trip. Make that also very known. But like, I definitely used food as that glass of wine, treat yourself, you deserve it, yada yada. But then my biggest problem was college, because I went to a community college where I lived home, but I never prioritized cooking. I never ate. Like, I would literally get up in the morning, grab a handful of Cliff Bars, bring them with me throughout my whole day at school, survive off of Cliff Bars, and then I might have hit a drive-thru on my way home, not 100% sure, depends on the day. Or sometimes I went to work after classes too. And then other days I would go to the grocery store and like have fun and just like get some snacks. And like that was the start of me like binging. Now, I never was diagnosed with a binge eating disorder. I make that very, very, very clear. I was never diagnosed, but I had like bad tendencies, or I had like the characteristics of just like, what is it called? Disordered eating? Yeah. So I would have like disordered eating traits, habits, but I never was like, you have an eating disorder. Which I've been seeing a psychiatrist since I was like, before I could talk. So I'm like, we're good. But that was my problem, is that I would never prioritize meals. The point of like being a kid, like I would pack my lunches, I would put a bunch of snacks in there. I didn't make lunch, like, because I was like 9, you know what I'm saying? So like I never like realized how important like protein and like having a full meal meant. Like I just was surviving basically. I graduated college 2019, and then COVID happened, but I was probably like 380 graduating high school. I was probably like 420, 440, like college days 2020. No, college days for sure. And then I bought a scale March of 2020, and I was 380 something, 382, 386, 380, whatever. Denial as hell. Freaked me the fuck out. I was like, I'm not that. There's no way. There's no way that's real. So at the start of COVID, I was like 480. Literally terrified the hell out of me, scared the hell out of me. There's no way that's possible. Blah, 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 blah. And I kind of ignored it. I was like, that's not real. I was in denial for 1000%. Then I got into a relationship, and then eating out, wasn't the best, but that's what we did. And then I created my small business January 2022. And then if you watched the first video, you would know like the details of my small business. I was basically not eating or sleeping every other day. Realistically, wake up at like 7 p.m. but I'd wake up in the evening times. I would go to work for a few hours. Now, sometimes I got fast food or drive-through on my way in. Sometimes I didn't. It just depended on the day. Go to work for a few hours, come home at like 1 or 2 a.m., do orders until about 9 a.m. Then my mom took my orders with her to work. Some days I would continue doing orders, and other days I went to sleep. But that was my life, where I was sleeping during the day and awake at night. Sometimes I would get drive-through on my way into work and then on my way home from work. And then I would go to the grocery store, because they're open until about 11 p.m. Get a whole bunch of shit, snacks, candy, cookies, whatever I was feeling that day. And that's the thing, is that I wasn't a binge eater where I would eat the entire thing in one day, but I had like a stockpile. I would have just like my little like bag or my little box of snacks and treats and stuff. I would be sitting in my office chair, sitting in the car to and from, sitting in my office chair at home doing orders, and then and then laying in bed. Like, I was so not mobile for months. It was crazy. I was not surviving. I would literally be awake for like 36 hours, something like that. then at some point I'm like, I haven't eaten in 12 hours. Or like, whoa. You know, like you're also in the basement is where I do my orders. There's no windows. So the concept of time didn't exist, which didn't help either. So yeah, that was not the best combination at the time. This fall, I would say from like September to the week before Christmas, like December 22nd, December 21st vibe, that was my life. It was really bad, but that was my life. And then once orders died, and then it was January of 23, I was still in that time loop of sleeping all day, awake at night. I wasn't doing orders anymore, so I was able to kind of slowly revert my life. So between weighing myself at 480 in March of 2020 and basically 3 years later, I easily was over 500 pounds. Easy. I looked it, I felt it, and at that point, that is also like, I think it was in January after all this crap happened, like after all the orders happened, I was just like, I feel so heavy. Like my joints, my bones, my back. I felt so, it could have been just the exhaustion of the months of that schedule, but I felt every pound in my body, and I don't even know what my highest was. So because I saw the scale at like 480 something, and I asked my primary care doctor, and I think I weighed in at 486. I'm like 90% sure. And because of I wasn't in pain, but like because of the achiness that I was in, me and my surgeon settled on 525. That's the number that we used as my highest, because they asked me what was your highest, and I said I don't know, and they said to kind of just like think. So we just kind of came up with that number together. So January was very hard to get out of. That schedule was very hard to break. So January and February, it was pretty rough for me. Also, it's the season in New York, so it's dark, it's cold, then you're opposite schedules. It's just like, I was such in a bad time loop. It was unbelievable. So I think it was like March of 23, I decided to start taking my meds, my antidepressants that I wasn't taking, and I started to go to work during the day, not just at night, and I started to slowly rework that schedule. And in April and in May, I really worked on just all I was focused on was going to work in the morning. That was all that I was concerned about, was just getting to work in the morning and being there during the day. Many months of that, that was like my main focus. That's all that I thought about, was sleep, work, and meds. And also eating, like making sure that it doesn't matter what I'm eating, just making sure that I'm eating like breakfast, lunch, like the appropriate hours. It was like July of 2023, and my dogs needed to go to the vet, and he's like, they need to lose weight because like their hips are hurting, and like they just need to lose like a little bit. And I'm like, okay. So we had this whole plan of cutting back their food, and I'll start taking them on walks and stuff. I knew what number they were, like the vet told me, and I'm like, I actually was considering just starting to eat healthier. Just that point where I didn't know that I lost a decent amount of weight, I felt better, and I was like, I think I'm gonna like start to like lose. I think I'm gonna go on a weight loss journey, and I'm gonna start to like eat healthy or whatever. And then it was in the back of my head. I'm like, it's something that I would like to do, but like don't know if I can fully do it. You know, something that I could think about. And then I was just like, no, but if I'm gonna start walking these dogs, I want to know what number I'm at, because I haven't weighed myself in 3 years. 2020 was the last time that I weighed myself, and now it's 2023. And then I went in the scale, and it was 456. I literally did it twice. I was like, that's not real. 456. I thought I would be 550. Like I thought I was gonna be like gaining so much. And I'm like, that's interesting. And I'm like, I knew that I felt better, but I couldn't like pinpoint it. So I was talking with like people, and I was like, I think I really want to do this, just like get a little healthier and just like eat better, and just like I hated that era of not eating and sleeping, and I felt so shitty those couple of months. Like I felt like crap, and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to feel that way anymore. So it's like mid-July. All I focused on was food. I did walks here or there, of course, but I just focused on food. I really, really wanted to make sure that my diet was really good. So I just mostly, I mean, I was cooking more, of course, but I made food swaps. That was the biggest advice that I could do, or I could say, is about like when losing weight is to make a healthy or appropriate food swaps. Like I have a sweet tooth. I love my sweets. So instead of ice cream, I would have like an Outshine bar or something sugar adjacent that was not terrible like ice cream. Or I would have like a frozen yogurt vibe, or like a low fat halo top vibe. Like you're still allowing yourself to have those things, but just in a different variation. And like if in the morning, if you love like a breakfast sandwich, have like a turkey sausage with like a whole wheat or a multigrain, or like, you know what I'm saying, like just, you can still have what you love, just change the ingredients to make it a little bit better for you. That's like the best advice that I could do. I started to cook more chicken. I would have broccoli, rice. I would if I ever wanted candy, I would have fruit. If I ever wanted chips, I would have like a cucumbers or like a carrots. Like I would have that crunch, because I learned that like I really didn't want, my body didn't want chips. It just wanted like the crunch, you know? I brought all this up with my psychiatrist, and he brought up the injections. He brought up, you know, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, he just brought them up. And I'm like, I think I want to just keep going a little bit longer. Like, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I really want to fix my habits first. I was the same weight for months. So then my body literally went through a detox. Like I am so TMI, like I'm not like I don't give a fuck. I was constipated for like a few days, and then I would have lava for a few days, and then constipation for a few days, and then lava for that was my life for like 6 weeks. And I'm not even joking. 6 weeks. Okay. So it was like late August, and I was the same weight. I was like between 455 and 460. I was the same weight. And I said, what are these injections again? Like, what is it? What do you keep harping on about? And so he put in the prescription. We talked about it, and he has a YouTube video explaining what these injections do. I'm gonna link it below, just in case you want to get more information about these injections. And he explains in the nitty gritty all about these injections. So he's like, I want to put you on Wegovy because I don't have high blood pressure, I don't have high cholesterol, I don't have any sort of diabetes, sugar, glucose, insulin problem. My labs are so clean. So he's just like, you don't qualify for Ozempic, you don't qualify for Mounjaro. I don't think that the insurance will approve you anything but Wegovy, so I'm gonna put you through with Wegovy. I said, that's fine. So then the insurance did not approve me, because also he's like a psychiatrist, like duh. So he said, why don't you go try into your primary, see if they could do it for you. I said, okay. So I made an appointment. I think it was like the next day. I went in and I explained the whole problem about how, you know, I have been the same weight for like a month or so, haven't been able to lose it, blah, 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 whatever. So I said, I think I want to do the injections and maybe help me, and da da da. They said, perfect, amazing, you're doing amazing, you're changing your habits, let's do the injections. They put it through, the insurance approves it. No pharmacy near me. I cannot get this fucking Wegovy anywhere. I called like Manhattan, Queens, upstate, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. I would go wherever to get these injections. Nobody had them. CVS, I have a love-hate relationship with you, CVS. They would be like, oh, I think we're gonna get a shipment in like in a few weeks, or in October, and then it was in November, and then it was in this. I'm like, okay, just stop talking, because you're just lying to me at this point. I went back to my primary, and I said, hey, like, could you try to put in like Ozempic or Manjaro, because the Wegovy is on back order everywhere and I can't get it. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but you don't qualify. I'm like, okay. And then she said, why don't you try going to a weight loss clinic, like a weight loss specialist? They might be able to get it for you. I said, okay, got it. So at this point, we're like mid-October. So then Google weight loss clinics near me. Like I'm not looking for surgery, I'm looking for the injections. So I just, whoever was available, click, next appointment, let's go. So I do a whole physical, I do like a metabolism test, I do all these tests that they're like doing. And then I go sit down with the surgeon. Like, I don't go to like a regular, like a doctor or nurse, I go see the surgeon. We're talking for 45 minutes to an hour about everything. So first I brought up, why, first he was like, thank you for so much for coming in. It's such an amazing thing that you're getting help, and he was so nice. He was so nice. And then I brought up the whole, thing, the not sleeping, the not eating, the losing the weight, and now I'm stuck and I can't get the injections. I explained the whole thing. So okay. He's like, look, we can do the injections. I have no problem doing the injections. But he kind of was just like, if you want the long-term weight loss, the answer is surgery. And I was like, I knew that. I knew going in that he was gonna push for surgery because they're surgeons and that's what they do. I was like, no, yeah, I know. Like my older sister got the surgery like 5-6 years ago, so I knew of it. I knew about it. But I'm not ready. Like, I really am not ready to get surgery. He goes, of course, we will do all the options that you want, but I want to just explain the surgery thing to you. I said, it's fine. So he pulled out, like, took a picture, he drew out, like, what a sleeve would do and, like, a bypass would do. Like, he drew out pictures of, like, what it would look like. And I really was, like, considering. I was, like, in the moment, I'm like, okay, this guy's, like, really, like, convincing me. And I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, stop. Like, you can't just make an impulse decision like that. I was like, I literally caught myself and I'm like, all right, relax. Like, you can't get too, like, I had to catch myself. Because he was saying, like, you were so young, and all my patients are saying that, like, they wish they've done it sooner, and da-da-da-da. And he's like, look, the injections are great, and we could totally do them, but I don't like my patients being on them for longer than, like, 8 months to a year. And then they typically, sometimes, most of the time, gain it back. He goes, if you're considering the surgery in like a year from now, you might as well just do it now. Like, if you're thinking about it, you might as well just do it now. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, he's winning me over a little bit. So then it's October, right? So I was like, well, I can't like afford surgery. Like, is this approved? So they ran my insurance like in the office. She gives me a paper explaining all my benefits and how the surgery is 100% covered and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, okay, so it's not an insurance problem. I have to make a decision at this point. And he goes, yeah, I could fit you in like January. And like, I'll fit you in, like, we can do it like before the new year. And it's mid-October. And I said, okay, I gotta think about this really quick. Like, I'm sold on the surgery. A lot's happening really, really fast. So he's like, look, I'll call you in a week. You can think about it for a week. I'll call you in a week, and then we can make a decision. I said, okay. So I get in the car, and I immediately call my older sister who had the surgery. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Because I wasn't thinking of doing the surgery. It was always something in the back of my head that's something that I might have to do. But I really wanted to try to do it on my own. I really wanted to try to just like lose weight on my own first. But honestly, I wasn't making a single pound of progress for months. And then I learned through the whole process of everything that because I was on Lexapro for 13 years, that it was kind of impossible for me to lose weight on my own. I learned that through the process. So she was like, look, like, the best thing I've ever done. I loved it. Like, it's a recovery process, but like, I do not regret it at all. And she also like has had kids, and like, she's like, I would have been twice my size if I didn't get the surgery. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, so you're winning me over. Okay. So then I talk with my boyfriend and he's like, do what you gotta do. If that's what you want to do, do it. This is something that you want to do it. Like, who am I to tell you not to do this? I said, okay, period. And then I talked with my parents and they were like, not the most supportive at first. They were like, you want to do that? Like, why would you do that? Or like, they didn't think that I was ready. They were like, this is like a big thing. Like, it was a big deal, that whatever. They just didn't understand. So then my next session with my psychiatrist, I word vomit everything about what the surgeon said and how the appointment, and I said, I think I'm really gonna do it. Like, I'm really considering like getting the surgery. And he goes, look, I do weight loss psych evaluations. I have a surgeon that I have 2 surgeons that I work with directly. Go to them for a second opinion. I'm like, thank you so much, love you. I Googled the 2 surgeons. I picked the one that I liked and I loved, which I did. And then I make an appointment for November 28th, 2023. So at that point, I had about a month and a half of waiting between the 2 appointments. Between the first surgeon was like mid-October, then I had after Thanksgiving of November. I had a month. I was literally dying inside because the anticipation of this appointment was killing me. As much as I loved the first surgeon, he was there for me emotionally. He was very like, this is amazing, you know, you're gonna feel so much better. And like, he was very emotionally connective with me, which I love. But I went to my surgeon who I had, it was all about the medicine. And that was the immediate vibe. It was like this. It wasn't a hospital, but it felt like a hospital. And it felt so legit. And I was like, okay, like this is like I felt way more legit going to my surgeon's office. So at this appointment, I was 455. Like, I couldn't break. From July to practically December, it was like November 28th, I was within the same 5 to 10 pounds between 450 and 460. Like, I think it was like 452 to 460 was like my range for months. And I couldn't break it. I could not break it. I went to the appointment and I talked with a nurse practitioner and he's bringing up, you know, all the different types of surgeries. And in that month and a half that I had between the appointments, this became my entire personality and my entire life of Googling, researching everything about all the different types of surgeries. And I, from the beginning, knew I did not want to have a bypass because I didn't want them to rearrange my organs. And I kind of knew that a sleeve is what I really wanted because it, to me, felt the most natural to remove a portion of my organ and not rearrange my organs. That's just something that I was pretty like adamant about. The band could snap, the balloon could pop. The bypass for me was a little bit too of a high risk, had more complications than the sleeve. I felt the most comfortable with the sleeve. So I kind of knew going in that I wanted a sleeve, and I was, a month and a half, I was prepared. I was so unbelievably prepared. So then I brought all the paperwork that the first surgeon gave me about, you know, the physical that I had and the metabolism, and then I had the insurance paperwork. So I went in there pretty knowledgeable about the surgery and everything. Go over the injections, we go over the different types of surgeries. I'm pretty adamant about the sleeve. And then he leaves, and then the surgery coordinator comes in, and she was going over the insurance part and all the appointments that I had to do. I'm gonna go get my folder really quick. So this is my folder. It has accumulated stuff over the years, but I went to Northwell Hospital. This is the Comprehensive Metabolic and Weight Loss Surgery Program. So when I got there, she gave me all this paperwork, that information that I needed to know for the surgery. But the most important thing was the checkoff list for all the appointments that I needed to do. So I had to get done a letter of support from my primary care doctor. I had to get a clearance. Once I know my surgery date, I needed to get a clearance from my primary care doctor. Okay. Then you typically needed to get a 3 to 6 month supervised weight loss program. Like you have to weigh in. But when I gave her my insurance paperwork, there was no, like my insurance didn't require a weight loss program. Like you needed to have recorded weigh-ins. I didn't need that. I need to do a attendance at one pre-op support group, which I eventually had to do, which I got. Once you're done with all your pre-op testing, then you go for a support group. I had to get a cardiology evaluation, which included an echo and a stress test. I had to go get a sleep study done with a PFT test, which is basically like you had to breathe into this big machine and like test your breathing levels. Then you need to go see a nutritionist, which was a part of the program, so that was not something that I had to like go outsource and go get. I had to get a psychiatric health evaluation. I already have one, so I already have a psychiatrist. That was easy. You need to go get lab work done. You need to get an upper GI series, get a abdominal ultrasound. You need to get an upper endoscopy. Then you need to go get done a pap smear. So basically, we're going over that I need to get all this stuff done for the surgery. And then I do mention, I said, look, I said, I'm 25, but I turned 26 in May, which means I get kicked off my parents' health insurance. So like want that just to be like you know that. Then I meet with my surgeon, and I love him. He knew my psychiatrist because they do the evaluations together, and I'm talking with him and I explained the whole sleep thing. I explained the whole I've always been just a big kid kind of a thing, and I go off about how the Lexapro and the whole thing. I think I learned that afterwards. This is my second opinion basically, and I already went through this with the first surgeon, and they said, and he was kind of ready to put me on the books. And he's like, he didn't want you to lose any more weight first? I said, no, because I already lost the other 60. Like he was happy with that. He's like, yeah, no, like that's a little concerning, and I that's not like good. Like you need to be under 400 for me to do this surgery. He goes, no. I kind of was just like, the other surgeon is that's kind of like a red flag that he didn't make you lose any weight before the surgery. And I said, okay, got it. He's like, yeah, you need to be like 380 for this to happen. And I'm 455. And in my head, I'm like, this surgery's never happening. Like I was like, that's crazy. Cause also I spent the past 5 months the same couple pounds. How do you expect me to lose like 65, like 80? How do you expect me to lose like 80 pounds, you know? So then he's just like, we'll get you injections. We are gonna work on it. I said, okay, that's fine. But like, I'm also on a time crunch here. Like I have until May to get the surgery done. Cause like my insurance ended May 31st. Now I was gonna get the same plan, but I didn't want to have there be like a lapse in insurance to have, oh, because you were a dependent, now you're a policy holder. I did not want to have any insurance issues. Okay, so I really needed to get this done before May 31st. That was my deadline. Okay, so then he's all supportive. He's like, he goes, we're doing this. I said, we are doing this, because they were so concerned about me and the medicine, and they were so focused on my health and not just about how I felt, which might seem backwards, but when I'm on that table and I'm under, not about how I feel, it's about my body and what's happening, you know? So I get this big packet, okay? And I take it in the car with me, and I'm in the parking lot for probably another hour, I guess, at that point. And I am devouring this entire thing. So first it was about all the appointments. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a cardiologist. I don't even have a pulmonologist, which is lungs. I don't even have an OB, which is, I'm 25 and I should have gotten a pap smear years ago, but I didn't. I was like, I don't have a gastroenterologist. All I have is a primary, and I can get the lab work done and the psych. That's about it. Like I have nobody. So at this point, it's the week after Thanksgiving. So now I was gonna have a follow-up the week after Christmas. I think it was like the 28th or something like that, after Christmas. I had a follow-up. My goal because I didn't have a cardiologist, I didn't have all these doctors. My goal was to make sure that I had those first consults done. So I would call up a cardiologist. Hi, I'm getting surgery. I need to get an echo. I need a cardiologist. They would call me in. Oh my God, you're getting surgery? Okay, good. We'll schedule the echo. I needed those stupid appointments out of the way. So my mind was from Thanksgiving into Christmas to get those appointments out of the way. Well, my psychiatrist works with him. So kind of was just like, I kind of put it into motion, like the next appointment. So that was already in motion. I called my primary for the support letter. Easy. I found a cardiologist, found a pulmonologist, found a OBGYN, and a gastro. The gastro took fucking forever. But the cardio was out of the way, the pulmonology was out of the way, and the pap smear was out of the way before Christmas. Like I had to go to the appointments. So then what I did was in the parking lot, I devoured this packet, this specific packet, because it is a Bible of basically how to eat. And I will never throw this away. Literally, it's not even just about like the stage 1, stage 2 crap. It's like, I don't know what, it's just like the Bible to eating. And so I'm in the car and I'm devouring this. I'm like, if I'm gonna have to do this in the next couple months, I'm gonna start practicing now. So this is end of November. Being nutritious, the timing of the meals, establish a pattern and a time to eat. The protein each meal should contain between 60 to 100 grams of protein a day. At least half of every meal should consist of protein. Protein takes longer to digest and keeps you more satisfied after a meal. Eating protein first helps you stay on track. Like this was just like literally like the Bible. Dark meat is easier to digest than white meat. Avoid tough cuts of meat the first few months after surgery. At least 64 ounces of a liquid a day in between meals. Stick to unsweetened, low-calorie, non-carbonated drinks. But this is also like post-op. This is not just like in general, which I mean, you guys, you should follow. Then it's like avoid drinking with a straw. We don't do that. We do that. It's like pause between bites. Put your fork down between bites. Chew well, swallow, allowing food to settle in pouch, which I don't have a pouch, but that's what a bypass. I think the bypass has a pouch. Your pouch is the size of a golf ball, which I think is the bypass. Protein first. Eat from a salad plate. Fill more than half of your plate with 3 ounces of protein. Eat your vegetables second, and then eat your good carbs last. Avoid empty calories. Avoid drinking your calories. Make a habit to read food labels. Like just like, I don't know what it was about this. I devoured everything. What I did is I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm like, all right, we're gonna make all these choices. I went from 2% milk to 1% milk, white rice to brown rice, and I did half white meat, half dark meat with chicken. I lost 20 pounds. I was that 455, 460 range. I weighed in for my first appointment after all of this at 435. Okay? Just by making those 2 to 3 changes from this packet that they gave me that I devoured. 20 pounds. I meet with Frank again, my nurse practitioner, and we were talking about the injections at the first appointment. He said that there's this new one coming out called Zepbound, and it's gonna be available. Like it's not gonna be on back order. I said okay. So then he put it through. I met with my nutritionist and we went over habits and we just went over the nutrition of it all, and just it was an intro appointment. It was an hour long. It was just an intro appointment of what are your habits, what do you do for the day-to-day life, you know. And then like he kind of was just like, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Every appointment we will make tweaks of what you do, and then you'll see the changes, and then we'll make more tweaks, and every appointment we'll just make tweaks. So on January 2nd of 2024 is when I took my first injection. I'm gonna check my first zepbound injection, and it was the stress test, it was the echo, it was the upper GI series, which is like a swallow test. You go to the hospital, you schedule an appointment, you go to the hospital for an upper GI series, and you have to like lay on your side. You drink this like chalky protein powder, protein drink thing, and then they watch it go down your esophagus and your duodenum, and they look at it, and it's actually very cool. I'm gonna insert the clip that he allowed me to take of me swallowing. From, I think it was Christmas Eve, I announced that I was having weight loss surgery on TikTok. So from that point until now, every single thing has been documented. So you can go back and look at the weekly injections of my zepbound, of all my appointments that I had. I documented every single thing. So if you really want how I was feeling in that moment, you can just go scroll back and look. So from January through February through March, I had at least an appointment a week. And then I get to March and I do my endoscopy, which is a procedure, I guess. It is a scheduled, someone has to bring you home, like a hospital visit. You have to go for the endoscopy. You're put under, not like oxygen put under, but you're put under in your IV. And it's a procedure. They put a camera down your throat. They look at your stomach to see what's going on down there. You do all the ultrasounds. You do all the things that I checked, that I said about. And then now it's March. I do my endoscopy. I have nothing left on my schedule because now I'm waiting for an appointment. I'm waiting for my surgery date. And then I could go for my pre-op exam at the hospital, and I can go to get my clearance done at my primary care doctor. So then I think I go to see my surgeon in person like the first week of April. I think it was like April 4th, April 5th. I go in person. I do a weigh-in. So then I go in there, and then he's just like, you're doing great. I'll see you in a month. And I'm like, no, sir. My parents' insurance expires May 31st. It is April. What do you mean I'll see you in a month? No, like, because I wasn't under 400 yet in his, I think I was like 402 or 405 or whatever it was on the appointment. And I was like, no, dude, we're on a timeline. We can't, he's like, I'm like, I told you this when I first saw you, that my insurance expires May 31st. Sir. He gets the surgery coordinator guy, and we're talking. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I told you, my parents' insurance, like, it kicked off May 31st. Like, we need to get this done. Like, hello. She's like, oh, we will get you in. Don't you worry. I'm like, so I'm thinking like in the teens, like May 15 to 30. Like, I'm thinking like end of May. I said, whatever date it is, I will take it. Don't ask me. I said, you schedule my surgery and tell me what day it is. Okay? You just tell me what day it is. Okay. I get an email on April 9th. Your surgery is on May 9th. May 9th? My birthday is May 11th. What do you mean? I said, okay. I was like, oh my God, that's like fucking soon. I was like, this is real. Like, this is real. And she's like, and your pre-op diet starts April 25th, and you need to go in on May, like, I think it was like May 3rd or something for your pre-op appointment at the hospital. And I'm just like, okay. Like, this is happening. Like, I have a date. I have a surgery date, and this is happening. So then I was on injections until April 12th, because you can't be on injections. You have to be off injections 4 weeks before your procedure. So I stopped April 12th. And then on I think it was May 3rd, I went to see my surgeon in person again. I was 385 or 387 or something like that. He was happy. I was happy. I signed all of my consent forms, and then I did the pre-op exam. I think it was like the day before. I did my pre-op exam at the hospital. You basically kind of just do like a little evaluation. They go over all the soap that you need, and they give you like a care package of the soap, and then the breathing, and you have to have a clean sheets, clean towel. Like they give you like the surgery like prep crap. And I'm like, okay, this is like really happening. Also, the pre-op diet, I like gained on my pre-op diet because I wasn't eating. It was terrible. The pre-op diet sucks. It was good the first 5 days. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I can totally do this. And then literally the last week, my body was deteriorating. Then May 9th, I had surgery, and I was 382 the morning of my surgery at my home scale. And then I went for a follow-up 2 weeks after with my surgeon. And then I think I was 360, I was like 366, 364 in that time, which they were like, that's amazing. I said, okay. And then I saw him in July and I was 340, give or take a pound or two. And then I saw him in October and I was 315 at the appointment. And then I saw him the week before Christmas and I was 305. And now I'm 290 I'm on Christmas break. But the last weight that I think I was between 294 and 298 the past like 2 weeks. And I haven't really weighed myself a lot this past 2 weeks. I know I've documented my entire weight loss journey on TikTok, so I really don't know what to like repeat or say again. But like from the pre-op diet, from shopping for the pre-op diet, for the post-op diet, every stage I talked about and I explained on my TikTok. So if you really want specific questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. But that is the timeline of my weight loss journey. And I have a goal because now I'm 390. I think I was 398 the last time I weighed in, but I was like in the 390. Oh my God, 2. I'm not 3, I'm 2. I keep doing that. 298. I'm in the 290s. I would, I guess, assume that I'm gonna have a stall eventually, because I was literally 435 January 1st, and now I'm 294 January 1st, like a year apart. So like I've lost a lot of weight for my first year. So because of that, I feel like I'm gonna be hitting a stall or just like a massive, just like, you know what I'm saying, for this year. So I'm kind of preparing for that, and I'm assuming I would like to be under 250 by next New Year's. So yeah, I don't know. It's been a crazy journey. It's been a crazy fucking year and a half, and I'm very grateful that that first surgeon really was like, just get the surgery. And I'm like, you're so right, King, because I do not regret it. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. It is, I mean, I'm still in my first year. I still have until May till it'll be my first year, but I love it. I love my new life. I love how I don't have to like worry about it. You know, like I don't have to worry about like being big the rest of my life. You know, like I don't know. It gave me my life back. And I couldn't be more grateful that I made that decision. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I love you so much.